You clicked because you've got a drawer full of them. Little plastic gadgets, a weighted stick, a thing that straps to your arm, maybe a whistle clicker that promised to fix your slice by Sunday. I bought them too. 10 of them. I tested every single one. And here's what I found. Only 2 of them actually changed my swing. The other 8 sold me a feeling, not a fix. The strange part is that the 2 that worked weren't the expensive ones. They were the oldest ideas in the game, ideas that got quietly buried under 40 years of shiny packaging. I didn't start out believing that. I started out believing the marketing. The whole thing cracked open on a Tuesday night in my garage, when a $9 tool did something a $200 tool couldn't. That's when I got suspicious. So I followed the trail back past the gadgets, back to a book from 1957, and a man counting frames of film one at a time. And by the end I found the one drill you can do this weekend, in your living room, with a thing you already own. No swing coach, no launch monitor, no membership. Stay with me, because the order I found this in matters. I have to show you the aftermath first, then walk you back to how it all came apart. Let me start with the wreckage. I lined up all 10 aids on my workbench after 3 months of testing. I filmed my swing before and after each one. Same camera, same spot, same tired golfer. And when I looked at the footage, 8 of the 10 had done absolutely nothing to the shape of my swing. Nothing measurable. My club face was doing the same thing at impact that it did before I spent the money. But here's the part that stung. While I was using them, every single one felt like it was working. That's the trick. That's the whole trick, and it took me weeks to see it. A training aid that braces your wrist or straps your elbow gives you a feeling of correctness the moment you put it on. Your brain reads that new feeling as improvement. You hit a few good shots in the driveway, you feel like a genius. Then you take the gadget off, walk to the first tee, and your old slice comes right back like it never left. I call that the borrowed feeling. You're renting a good position. You never actually own it. And once I understood the borrowed feeling, I couldn't unsee it. I started sorting my 10 aids into 2 piles. The ones that gave me a temporary sensation and vanished the second I removed them, and the tiny handful that taught my body something that stayed. 8 in one pile, 2 in the other. So the real question wasn't which gadget is best. The real question was, why do the cheap old ones teach and the expensive new ones only rent? That question is what sent me digging. And what I dug up surprised me more than any of the shots I hit. Let me show you the 8 that failed first, because you probably own at least 3 of them. The first pile was full of what I started calling position holders. These are the aids that lock a part of your body into a so-called perfect spot. The wrist brace that stops you from cupping, the elbow strap that pins your arms together, the magnetic clip that forces your shoulders to turn a certain way. I want to be fair to them. They aren't scams in the sense that they lie about what they do. The brace really does hold your wrist flat. That part is true. But holding is not learning, and that is the whole rotten center of the thing. When something external holds you in position, your own muscles switch off. They don't have to do the work, so they don't. The aid becomes a crutch, and the second you remove the crutch, the muscle that should have been trained is exactly as weak and confused as it was on day one. You've spent money to avoid the one thing that actually rewires a swing, which is your own body figuring out the move under real feedback. I tested one of these for 2 straight weeks. A wrist trainer, $49. Every rep felt perfect. Then I filmed a bare swing on day 15. Identical breakdown at the top. 2 weeks, gone. So that's clue number 1. Anything that does the work for you can't teach the work to you. But that raised a bigger, colder question. If the whole industry knows that holding isn't learning, and trust me, they know, then why is nearly every product on the shelf a position holder? That's where the trail stopped being about golf and started being about money. And I'll get to exactly who profits because it's not who you'd guess. First, let me finish burying the second pile of failures because they're sneakier. The second group I called sensory gimmicks. The clickers, the whistlers, the swingers that make a swoosh at the wrong moment. The idea sounds clever. Make a sound at the right point in the swing and you'll learn to release the club correctly. And for a few swings, it's genuinely fun. You hear the whoosh move forward. You feel fast. You feel like a tour player. But I filmed these too. Here's the trouble. Making a noise at the bottom of a swing with a light plastic stick teaches your body to swing a light plastic stick. It does not transfer to a real club with a real head weight and a real ball sitting there daring you to hit it. The moment there's a ball and a consequence, your old pattern comes roaring back, because your old pattern was never about the sound. It was about fear and tension and 100 rounds of bad habit. None of these gadgets touched the real cause. They decorated the symptom. So now I had 8 aids in the failure pile and 1 nagging feeling. Every one of them fixed a symptom. None of them asked why my swing broke down in the first place. And the deeper I looked, the more it seemed like the entire modern training aid business was built to keep you fixing symptoms forever. Because a symptom always comes back, and a thing that always comes back is a thing you'll always keep buying. That's when I stopped trusting the shelf and went looking for the source. And the source was a lot older than any product in my garage. Here's where I have to jump back in time, because this is the moment the case turned. I got frustrated one night and did something I hadn't done in years. I pulled an actual book off the shelf instead of watching another video. It was Ben Hogan's book, the one from 1957, 5 Lessons, The Modern Fundamentals of Golf. It first ran as a series in Sports Illustrated that same year, drawn out by hand with those famous illustrations, because there was no launch monitor, no high-speed camera, nothing. Just a man who had rebuilt his own swing from scratch after a near-fatal car crash in 1949. And I read something on those pages that no gadget had ever told me. Hogan didn't sell positions. He sold a feeling you build yourself. He talked about the plane of the swing as if there were a giant sheet of glass resting on your shoulders, tilted down to the ball, and your job was to swing under it without breaking it. He wasn't strapping anything to his arm. He was giving your imagination a picture so vivid that your own body organized itself around it. That's the opposite of a position holder. A position holder does the organizing for you. Hogan made you do it, and because you did it, it stayed. Sitting there at midnight, I realized the 2 aids in my success pile were both doing exactly what Hogan's book did. They weren't holding me. They were giving my body honest information and then getting out of the way. Let me tell you what those 2 survivors actually were, because you can get both for less than the price of 1 sleeve of premium balls. The first survivor shocked me because it isn't even sold as a golf product in most stores. It's a fiberglass rod, a driveway marker, the orange kind people push into the ground so the snowplow doesn't ruin the lawn. $3 at a hardware store. Golf companies paint them and sell them as alignment sticks for $25 or $30, but it's the same rod. And this $3 rod did more for my swing than the $49 wrist trainer, the $200 strapped contraption, all of it. Here's why, and this is the piece nobody explains. Almost every bad shot in amateur golf starts before the club ever moves. It starts with aim. You think you're pointed at the target. You're not. You're aimed 30 feet right, your body senses it, and your hands make a desperate last-second flip to save the shot. That flip is your slice. That flip is your hook. It was never a swing flaw. It was a compensation for aiming wrong. Lay 1 rod on the ground along your toes and 1 pointing at the target, and suddenly you can see the truth. I laid mine down and nearly laughed. I'd been aimed so far right for years that my swing fault was really just my body trying to rescue a bad setup. 12,000 times over. The rod doesn't hold you. It shows you. You still have to do the work, but now the work is aimed at the right thing. That's the difference between renting a feeling and owning a fix. So one survivor was about where you aim, but that only closed half the case, because aiming right didn't explain the thing that happened in my garage on that Tuesday night, the $9 tool that beat the $200 one. That was about something else entirely, something about time. And time turned out to be the whole secret. Now, before I open that up, I promised I'd tell you who profited from all this getting buried, and I've earned the right to say it now. Think about the two survivors, a $3 rod, and the thing I'm about to show you, which is essentially free. Neither one has a subscription. Neither one wears out. Neither one needs a new model next year. You buy the idea once, and you own it for life. Now think about the failure pile. A brace that only works while you wear it. A gadget that gives a feeling that vanishes the moment you remove it. So you keep coming back. Keep buying the next version. Keep chasing the borrowed feeling you can never quite keep. You see the shape of it. There's no money in a fix that stays fixed. There's a fortune in a fix that keeps slipping away. I'm not saying anyone sat in a room and plotted to hide Ben Hogan's glass pane or a hardware store rod. It's simpler and colder than that. The methods that were free and permanent just quietly stopped getting marketed, because you can't build a business on something a person only needs to learn once. The stuff that got pushed to the front of the store, into your feed, onto the shelf, was the stuff that had to be repurchased. Slowly, the permanent knowledge slid to the back of an old book, and the temporary gadgets took the spotlight. The knowledge wasn't destroyed. It was just left to gather dust while louder, costlier things stood in front of it. My whole job, the reason I do this, is to walk to the back of the store and blow the dust off. So let me take you back to that Tuesday night, because this is where the real prize is. And once you see that link between aim and rhythm, you start wanting the rest of it. Every fundamental laid out in the right order, not scattered across 10 videos and a drawer of gadgets. That's exactly what the author put into the Complete Golf Fix System. It's a set of digital guides that fix the 6 fundamentals most instructors skip, where your shots are really leaking, the 15-second grip audit that changes your ball flight right away, and the alignment sequence done in the correct order, finally. It's built as a 6-week structured protocol for golfers who are done guessing, because your swing was never the problem, your fundamentals are. And here's the free test you can run tonight. No club needed. Lay one rod along your toes, one at your target, and get honest about your aim. I promise you'll find you're pointed farther right than you ever believed, just like the guides say. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. You buy the idea once and you own it for life. No subscription, nothing to keep repurchasing. Now let me show you why removing that panic changes everything. I had a cheap tempo trainer, $9. It's a weighted stick you swing, and it beeps or clicks to a rhythm. I almost threw it in the failure pile with the other noisemakers. But something odd happened. Unlike the whooshing gadgets, this one didn't try to fix my positions at all. It only cared about one thing: timing. The ratio between how long my backswing took and how long my downswing took. And when I matched my swing to its rhythm, every part of my swing that the 8 gadgets had tried and failed to fix started fixing itself. My over-the-top move? Gone. My casting? Gone. I hadn't consciously changed a single position. I'd only changed my timing, and the positions followed. I sat there stunned, and I did what I always do when something surprises me. I went looking for where the idea came from. Because a rhythm that powerful doesn't come from a $9 stick. The stick was just carrying an idea that was much older and much bigger. That idea led me to a man named John Novosel, and a book called Tour Tempo from around 2004. But the real story is what he did to write it. He got hold of high-speed footage of the greatest players in the world, and he did something almost nobody had bothered to do. He counted the frames, one at a time, frame by frame, swing by swing. And he found something that should be famous, and somehow isn't. Nearly every great player, across different body types, different eras, different swings that looked nothing alike, shared one hidden number. The time from the start of their backswing to the top, compared to the time from the top down to the ball, was a ratio of 3-to-1. 3 units of time going back, 1 unit coming down. Every time. It was almost eerie how consistent it was. 3-to-1. That's the buried key. That's the thing under everything. Think about what that means. 2 players can look completely different. One long and loose, one short and compact, and still share the exact same internal clock. The look of the swing is almost decoration. The timing underneath is the engine. And the entire training aid industry had me obsessed with the decoration while ignoring the engine, because you can sell 100 gadgets that fiddle with the look, and you can't easily package a rhythm. But here's the thing that made me put my head in my hands. This wasn't new even in 2004. Go back to Hogan in 1957, and he wrote about the swing as one connected motion with the parts firing in sequence. Go back further. To a British teacher named Percy Boomer, who wrote a book called On Learning Golf in 1942, and he was already talking about swinging to a rhythm you feel rather than positions you force. The 3-to-1 truth had been sitting in plain sight for over 60 years. Novosel just put a number on it. The knowledge existed, it got buried. Someone kept it alive in an old book. I traced it, and now I'm handing it to you. But I know exactly what you're thinking right now, because I thought it too. You're thinking this is fine for people with a garage, a net, a bucket of balls, and a Tuesday night free. You're thinking, I don't have space, I don't want to buy another gadget, and I'm not driving to a range to test rhythm. So let me stop right here and give you the version that costs you nothing and needs nothing but the room you're sitting in. This is the part I care about most, because this is the part they never bother to sell you. You do not need the $9 stick. You do not need a club. You do not even need to leave your living room. The 3-to-1 ratio is not a product, it's a count, and you can carry it in your own head for the rest of your life. Here's exactly what I did, and what I want you to do this week. Stand up, no club, just your arms hanging. Now I want you to say 3 words to yourself at a steady, even pace as you make a slow motion swinging motion with your arms. Any 3 even beats. I use back and through, but the words don't matter. The evenness matters. On the first 2 beats, your arms drift back and up. That's your backswing, taking up 2/3 of the time. On the 3rd beat, your arms come down and through. That's your downswing, faster, taking the last third. Back and through. 2 parts up, 1 part down. Slow, smooth, honest. Do it 20 times, right now, tonight, with no ball and no pressure. What you're doing is teaching your body the internal clock that every great player shares, without a single gadget doing the work for you. You are building it, so you own it. Now here's how to make it even more precise, still for free. Almost every phone alive has a metronome. It's built into the clock app, or a free download, the same tool musicians have used for 200 years. Set it to a slow beat. Start your backswing on 1 click, reach the top on the 3rd click, and arrive at the ball on the 4th. 3 clicks up, 1 click down. 3-to-1, ticking out loud, teaching your nervous system the exact rhythm that took John Novosel a stack of high-speed film to discover. That's the whole thing. A metronome you already own, and a count you'll never forget. No strap, no brace, no subscription, No borrowed feeling that vanishes when you take it off. Because there's nothing to take off. It lives in you. I did this in my kitchen every night for 2 weeks before I ever brought it to a real swing. And when I finally hit balls again, the difference wasn't subtle. My tempo had a floor under it. Under pressure, when my hands wanted to panic and get quick from the top, which is what wrecks nearly every amateur swing, that internal 3 count held me steady. The quickness had nowhere to hide. So now 2 of my survivors are clear. The rod that shows you where you're aimed, for $3, and the rhythm that gives you the engine every great player runs on, for nothing at all. But I told you there was a finale. One last piece that made every other clue snap together, and this is the one I'd never seen spelled out anywhere on a shelf or in a video, only in the pages of that old research once I read it slowly enough. Here it is. Aim and tempo are not two separate fixes. They are two ends of the same rope, and this is the part the gadget makers will never tell you, because it makes 8 of their 10 products pointless. When you're aimed wrong, pointed right of the target, like almost every amateur is, your body knows it. Deep down, some ancient part of your brain sees that the club is not pointed where you want the ball to go. And to save the shot, it does the only thing it can. It gets quick. It rushes the downswing to flip the club and rescue the ball at the last instant. That rush destroys your tempo. It blows the 3-to-1 ratio to pieces. It turns a smooth engine into a panic. So the bad tempo you've been fighting your whole golfing life? A huge slice of it was never a tempo problem at all. It was your body's emergency response to being aimed wrong. Fix the aim with a $3 rod, and the panic reason disappears. Remove the panic, and your tempo can finally settle into that 3-to-1 rhythm on its own. That's the whole case. Closed. That's why only 2 of my 10 aids worked, and the other 8 couldn't. The 8 were all chasing the flip. The wrist that broke down, the elbow that flew, the shoulders that spun. Every one of them was trying to strap down a symptom. But the flip was never the disease. The flip was your body's rescue mission, launched because you were aimed wrong and running the wrong clock. Correct the aim, correct the rhythm, and the flip has no reason to exist, so it fades on its own. You don't have to strap it down. You have to remove the reason it showed up. I sat in my garage the night I finally understood this, looking at 8 gadgets I'd wasted my money on, and one $3 rod and one free count that had quietly fixed the thing all 8 of them promised to fix and couldn't. The oldest ideas won. Hogan in 1957, Percy Boomer in 1942, a ratio a man counted out of old film, frame by patient frame, all of it sitting in the back of the store, dusty, unmarketed, permanent, while the front of the store filled up with braces and clickers you'd have to keep buying forever. Here's how I want you to test the whole thing this weekend, start to finish, so you can prove it to yourself the way I proved it to me. Take 2 straight sticks, driveway markers, broom handles, anything rigid and straight. Lay one along your toes and one on the ground pointing where you actually want the ball to go. Get honest about your aim, because I promise it's worse than you think. Then, before you swing at anything, run the 3 count. Back and through. 2 parts up, 1 part down. Marry the honest aim to the honest rhythm. Then hit 10 easy shots at half speed, not full swings, half. Let the aim be true and the tempo be smooth, and watch what your hands stop doing. Watch the flip you fought for years just quietly leave, because you finally took away the 2 reasons it was ever there. That's it. That's the fix 8 gadgets couldn't sell you, because you can't sell a thing that only needs to be learned once. Here's what I keep coming back to. Somebody already solved this. They solved it decades before I was born, wrote it down plainly, and it got left behind not because it stopped working, but because it worked too well to make anyone rich twice. I didn't invent a single thing in this video. I just walked to the back of the store and blew off the dust, and now it's yours to keep. And I think that's the kind of person you are, or you'd have clicked off 20 minutes ago. You don't want the headline, you want the whole trail, where it came from, who buried it, and how to prove it in your own hands. That's rare, and it's the whole reason I do this. So do one thing for me. Tell me in the comments which one you're going to test first. The $3 rod that exposes your real aim, or the 3-to-1 count you can run tonight without a club in your hand. Tell me which one, and after the weekend, come back and tell me what your flip did. I read them, and I want to know if your body's rescue mission finally stood down. If you're the kind of person who's tired of paying over and over for fixes that keep slipping away, come with me. This channel is a small pile of us digging the permanent stuff back out from behind the disposable stuff, one buried method at a time. Subscribe, and you're in. Because next I'm chasing something stranger, an old pudding method from the days before anyone sold you a $200 pudding mat, a way the old players learned to roll the ball true using nothing but a coin and a single line on the floor. It's been sitting in the back of the store this whole time too, and I think, once you see it, you'll never look at a putting gadget the same way again. This video showed you the wreckage. But inside the Practical Wisdom Circle, I walk you through the 2 aids and the living room drill, step by step, so it sticks. Get stuck? Ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be alone. Either old ways folks like you are already inside, just point your phone's camera at the code on screen, and you can cancel anytime. Now, if that slice of yours keeps sending the ball sideways, I've got good news. In the next video, I'll show you one simple move that finally straightens it out for good. It's starting right here.